I watched Samsung's Galaxy Unpacked event announcing their latest and greatest phones yesterday, so now that we know what these Android heavyweights will look like, let's talk about the top most compelling new features of the Galaxy S23, S23 Plus, and S23 Ultra. All these phones get a renewed lease on their placement as respectable premium smartphone options, but the specific improvements here some people might really value, while other people won't care about at all. So let's dive into those upgrades right now. In order of importance, there's first the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chip that falls into every phone in the lineup. The 8 Gen 2 effortlessly outperforms other flagship chips like the Tensor G2 and improves an appreciable amount above its predecessor, the 8 Gen 1, all while receiving its only real competition from the A16 Bionic in the iPhone 14 Pro. I could get into the weeds about these Galaxies versus that iPhone, as the A16 Bionic does do better on Geekbench scores while the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 does better on Antutu, but I'm not going to do that because Android phones and iPhones obviously use chipset power in different ways. Not to mention, no one should be deciding between an iPhone and an Android phone just because of the chip's power. So, back to the S23's performance, Samsung emphasized graphics and gaming a lot during the event, and while that's obviously not my wheelhouse, it was really cool to see stuff on stage like the ray tracing demo powered by that new chip. It's also worth mentioning this is technically a tweaked 8 Gen 2, so while I wouldn't expect too much of a difference with the 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy, if anything, it's slightly better. What's more important than that though is that this is the only chipset powering the S23 lineup globally, so no more flakier Exynos chips for certain regions. This has been long overdue. But overall, this will be a fast-feeling phone with a powerful foundation for more demanding tasks like gaming and media processing. Speaking of media, all the Galaxies in the lineup now add support for 8K video up to 30 FPS instead of 24, and do so at a much more practical, wider angle. And the S23 Ultra specifically has a brand new 200 megapixel main camera and a doubled optical image stabilization angle, in addition to 3 other lenses carried over from last year's Ultra: a 10 megapixel 10x telephoto, a 10 megapixel 3x telephoto, and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. There's no changes with the camera system on the S23 and S23 Plus, but I'll lay out the solid setup from the previous generation. There's a 50 megapixel main, a 10 megapixel 3x telephoto, and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. There's also 12 megapixel front cameras with autofocus on every Galaxy released this year. That's a megapixel upgrade for the S23 and S23 Plus, and technically a downgrade for the S23 Ultra, but Samsung says they're using better processing to actually get better photos and videos across the board. As far as camera software goes, Samsung says they're using AI to enhance nightography for both photos and videos. There's a new Astro Hyperlapse mode in the camera app, and you get more flexibility with expert RAW files if you're one for messing around with smartphone photos in post. Running out the topic of cameras, the main design change to come to the S23 and S23 Plus is the removal of that raised block around the cameras to make it match the S23 Ultra. The entire series is now consistent with no camera islands, only circular holes for the lenses themselves. And I guess while we're brushing up against aesthetics, I'll throw in that all the phones come in 4 colors and 4 colors only: Phantom Black, Green, Lavender, and Cream. Those colors sit within the new Gorilla Glass Victus 2 as the front and back material for all these Galaxies. The last most compelling feature is actually a group of specs that help bridge the gap between the plain S23 and S23 Plus and the more expensive S23 Ultra. There's bigger batteries for both the S23 and S23 Plus models, up to 3900 and 4700 mAh respectively, while the S23 Ultra is still at the 5000 mAh from last year. And all the screens are brought up to a max brightness of 1750 nits, while last year, the plain non-Plus S22 was stuck at 1300 nits. And I'll actually list out the remainder of those screen specs to kind of fill out your mental picture of these phones. The Galaxy S23 has a 6.1-inch 1080p Plus OLED screen, the Galaxy S23 Plus has a 6.6-inch 1080p Plus OLED screen, and the Galaxy S23 Ultra has a 6.8-inch Quad HD Plus OLED screen. All those screens go up to 120Hz and are really just about as good as smartphone screens get these days. So that's not exactly a stacked list, but I also don't think it's lacking enough to bump the S23 series from being one of the most compelling phone options right now in the flagship scene. I have more thoughts, but the YouTuber trend right now is to keep Galaxy S23 first impressions really short, so I'll do that right now and save them for the full review. I will be picking up a $1,000 Galaxy S23 Plus as my review phone of choice. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on my thoughts and of course on the phones themselves. Subscribe for more quality tech videos, and I'll see you later.